Welcome, this is Pam. Today I'm going to be talking about how parasites disrupt hormones and they drive chronic disease. If we haven't met, my name is Pam Bartha. I'm the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. I can speak about this topic because I work with people every day, especially women that are middle-aged, maybe premenopausal, postmenopausal, having all kinds of symptoms like cravings and mood swings and hot flashes, daytime, nighttime, so many different symptoms, headaches, digestive changes like gas, bloating, things like that. And a lot of us women believe that it's hormones, that our hormones are out of balance. And we go to our doctor and our doctor gives us, hormones, whether it's bioidentical or synthetic, really feeling that our hormones are out of balance when actually the real cause is the disruption in our microbiome. The parasites, they impact us in many ways. They really impact what we think are hormonal symptoms, but they also do impact the levels of hormones in our bodies, the production of hormones. So we're going to talk about that today. If we haven't met, my name is Pam Bartha, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis over 35 years ago. By the grace of God, I learned early on that what I was dealing with was a parasitic infestation. We have learned a lot since that time. I went back to school, got a science degree. Since then, I've been teaching, like I started with the school system, but I moved into coaching and teaching and educating people how to take back their health and their life like I have. And I constantly learn. I do a ton of research. Make sure to check out our blog post, livediseasefree.com. Look at under blog. Just look at the different topics and go through and scan my notes. It's really quick. You can watch videos there. You will really understand what you're dealing with if you're dealing with any type of chronic disease, multiple sclerosis and other. And today we're really addressing like how parasites impact our hormones. And it's so profound what I've learned from my students. So again, a lot of us think that we have hormonal imbalances. And so whenever somebody starts working with me, I just say, with all humble due respect, in our experience, what we've seen is that all of these horrible mood swings and day sweats and night sweats and cravings and all these other horrible symptoms, they're not caused directly by your hormones, but they're caused by parasites. And up until just like a week ago, I felt that it was more like the parasites are like more active at certain times of the month when we have certain levels of hormones. And that's been shown. And I've shared that in my book, Become a Wellness Champion. But we've also now discovered that parasites can actually change the level of hormones inside of us. Really shocking. So this is a topic that I'm just scratching the surface of today, but it makes you really start to think about a lot of different things. So the title of the study is called Sex Hormone Changes Induced by the Parasite. And this is a tapeworm parasite, and it leads to feminization of the male host in mice. So this is a mouse study, but a lot of times they do animal studies and then they take it into human studies. And we are mammals and mice are mammals, so we have very, very similar physiology. So what they found in this study, this study has shown that when they took this tapeworm and they infected it into mice, into female and into male mice, so they had a control group where they did not infect the mice, and they had the experimental group where they did infect the mice with this tapeworm. And so they said female mice are more susceptible to this specific tapeworm infection than males are. However, after a month, the parasite load increases massively in both genders, reaching thousands of parasites per host. And so when you think, well, we could get a parasite, but we're not going to have thousands of worms. Well, I don't know, with the work we do with our students are passing hundreds of worms and they're still passing them. So, and mice are so small compared to us. So could Could that be true? Could it be like not just an experimental thing, but could it be in real life? Absolutely. So the possibility of hormonal changes in the infected mice was investigated here. So what they did is sex hormone levels were measured in different periods of the infection. So like maybe, I don't know, like I don't have the exacts here. You can read that in the study, but it might have been, so long after infection, maybe a week or a month, and then 2 months and 3 months. And so what they found is that in male mice, this serum estradiol increased to levels 200 times their normal values. Okay, so I'll say that again. In male mice, serum, so blood, estradiol, which is used to make estrogen, increased to levels 200 times their normal values, while those of testosterone decreased 90% relative to the healthy mice that did not receive this tapeworm. So these poor male mice, they got their estradiol increased over 200 times normal values, and the male hormone that they should have decreased by 90%. You can just imagine how that is going to impact the mouse. So infected female mice also showed a slight increase in estrogen blood levels after 8 weeks of infection. So the conclusion is that, and I forgot to mention here, where is it? Okay, conclusion, this parasite, this tapeworm infection triggers a feminization process in the infected host. So it literally feminized these male mice, all right? So that is really, really huge. Pardon me, I've got a little tickle today in my voice. So this is just one study showing how, like in the past, we knew that when there were changes in our hormone levels, for example, when our progesterone is higher, that is the 2 weeks leading up to our menses, then certain parasites are going to be more active, and they can actually measure that in our blood. They can measure higher amounts of antibodies against candida in our blood, for example. So we might not even have PMS symptoms, but they can actually measure that. And so candida will be more active just before our menses, but other parasites are too. And this is with the rise and fall of certain hormones in our body. So that's one way that these parasites are impacted by hormones, and it drives chronic disease. But this is a whole new field that I'm going to go deeper and deeper into, because with our students, like we're seeing that not only by treating parasites do they get their mobility back, they feel happy again, their cognitive function is better, they have clear minds, they can process things, they're able to concentrate and focus. But these parasites also cause huge amounts of depression and anxiety, and can actually make us feel uncomfortable in our body, which is crazy. And I've heard that from some of our students. So that is huge. So like when you all of a sudden, like after maybe since you're in your teens, of course, when we're in our teens, we don't always feel comfortable in our body. But then nobody is or knows about this, that these parasites can also actually be causing a problem because they're disrupting our hormones. And Dr. Amen is a wonderful doctor who studies brains. He's written several books. And he's like, if your brain is sick, you don't have free will. So if these parasites are impacting our mood, impacting our ability to think, impacting how we feel about ourselves, right? Then we aren't going to necessarily make the same choices that we would make if we had a really healthy brain. It's so profound what we're learning in working with the students in the Live Disease-Free plan as they're recovering. So and for women that join our program that they're like, I'm on bioidentical hormones, so that should be safe. And I'm like, well, hormones are such powerful compounds that we just don't really understand how significantly they impact our health. Like they can, for example, in my book I wrote, they can increase your blood sugar levels. That will feed the parasites inside of you. They can also suppress the inflammatory immune response, and that will also benefit parasites because then our immune system is going to fight the parasites as well. It's not going to. So all of these things really greatly impact. So when women, let's say they're joining the Live Disease-Free plan because they want to recover from chronic diseases by treating the cause, which are parasites, and then they're like, well, I'm on these hormones because I have premenopausal symptoms, or my hormones are out of balance, or I'm postmenopausal. And I'm like, well, usually what we have seen is that these day sweats, night sweats, and cravings, and all these symptoms are caused by infections. And as you treat the infections and you give your body the proper nutrition it needs, then your body just produces the amount of hormones that it's supposed to, that it is genetically programmed to produce. And they go, okay, well, that's interesting. So then they end up coming off of these bioidentical or synthetic hormones, whether it's, it could be to do with birth control. It could be to do with, they might have just had symptoms and they were taking these hormones. What's the other one? Hormone replacement therapy also. Our government in Canada, on their website years ago, they had information about this, and they said that any woman who takes hormone replacement therapy for 5 years or longer, they double their risk of arthritis, inflammatory conditions like arthritis. And so what I've seen in our students that have been on hormones, they literally will have endometriosis, they can have fibroid cysts, they can have polycystic ovarian syndrome, they can have other inflammatory conditions like arthritis and other diseases. And so it actually makes the infections worse in time. That's the key. So what's better is to treat the parasites and recover from these symptoms, naturally allow your body to produce the correct amount of hormones that your body is genetically programmed to make, and then you're healthy. And there's a lot of risks, like make sure to read, even for bioidentical hormones, make sure to read the insert so you understand the adverse effects. You understand how these powerful molecules, compounds, how they can drive disease. All right, I'm going to go to questions for a couple of moments here. So, hello. You found you have osteoporosis due to small bones. Check into that also, because these parasites produce a lot of acids, and then your body will use up calcium and other minerals, and that will cause you to have bone loss. So with all of our students that have parasites, they have chronic diseases and they're recovering from them by treating parasites. If they have osteoporosis, within a very short time, by just eating a healthy diet, low carb diet, but treating the parasites, their bone density improves dramatically, even though they had been on these, I don't want to say the names, but these medications that are used for osteoporosis. So I've seen it every time. And that's the same thing with hormones too, is that we see that women that just believe me, they join the program, they believe me, and they go off of their hormones. They're like, and they recover, and they're like, wow, I guess it was just the infections. I don't have the day sweats, the night sweats. I don't crave anything. I don't have headaches. I don't have bloating. I don't have mood swings. I feel peaceful and happy. I don't even have symptoms before my menses, right? Or if they've passed their menopause, they're like, I don't have any menopause symptoms. Having menopause symptoms is not it's common, but it's not something that we have to have if our microbiome is in balance and if we are also having optimal nutrition. Is there a test on Amazon to find out if you have parasites? No, I wish there was, Anna. There isn't. You had Addison, but that disappointed, sorry. Oh, maybe you're talking. I'm sorry. I don't really understand what you're saying there. So Anna, it is very rare that it shows up in stool and doctors not enough to detect it. That's true. Unfortunately, we do not have good tests for parasites at this time. So what we do with the students in our program is will base their protocol on their, number one, their health history, the health history of their parents, kind of like what kind of symptoms they've had, what conditions they've had, and for their parents also. And then we also look at their symptoms. There are very specific symptoms for various types of infections. Then we will also look at the types of parasites they're passing and energy test results. So all of those is like 6 criteria, and their diagnoses, whatever they were diagnosed with. So this 6 criteria is what our students are using to help to put together a protocol plan for their recovery. Unfortunately, there are no good parasite tests. So instead of trying to figure out which parasites you have, then you would just take a single dose, not a sample, but a single dose of each of the common parasite drugs to be energy tested. And then that way you'll know which of the parasite drugs test best for you. So let's say you test well for 3 roundworm medications, you probably have roundworms. If you test well for 3 or 4 flatworm medications, then you probably have tapeworms or flukes. So that's how we decide that. And it works really well. And then we use a combination of the parasite drugs and oxygen therapies. And so like, I can't talk about the name of it. I do have videos you can watch. Like if you go to our website, just look live disease free, treating parasites with oxygen, you'll find out information there, or it's on Rumble. But I can't talk about it on these platforms because we will be censored. You're very welcome, James. So the really big thing is that, and this is what really breaks my heart, is that women are feeling like they're dealing with hormonal symptoms. And sure, they're very, very similar. And so they're going to these doctors that are experts in hormone therapies, and they're getting put on all of these bioidentical or synthetic hormones, and they're acting like it might mask some of your symptoms, but it actually is allowing these parasites to become more populated in your body more quickly because how it changes our biochemistry. And so there's all kinds of risks for, other inflammatory conditions and probably cancer, which is common with a lot of different medications. It's almost often like suppressing the symptoms and not treating the root cause. And so what I always thought was that these parasites, it's like they're just becoming more active at certain times of the month and less active at other times of the month. And that is true, and that's been shown. But now we also know that they can actually change the amount of hormones that are produced inside of us, which is another whole different it's a whole different game. Like it's so incredibly involved. And then I'm not even going to go any deeper because I could really make some people angry with me, but I'm sure that if you think about this for a little while, if it's really feminizing men, right, it can really be impacting how we feel about our gender, right? And I love all people and I accept whatever decision we make, but what if there are things like this that we just don't even know about, and that's impacting our free will? That is impacting the decisions that we would normally make. And we're not researching this. We're not looking at it. Our doctors don't know about it. This is something that really needs to be studied because it's really, really significant. And I just wanted to finish quickly with sharing a couple of amazing successes that came in yesterday. So we have our live call in our class, the Live Disease Free Plan. The students that are in there, I call them students because I'm a teacher, a coach. I'm not a healthcare professional. I don't give medical advice. And so this one student, and I just got her permission. So she sent me a 60-second video and I didn't know what it was. So I opened it up yesterday just before the call, and the first 30 seconds were her before she joined the Live Disease Free Plan, where for the last 8 months, she has been barely able to walk. She uses a walker and it's very slow, very painful, can't hold herself up by herself. She has to be using a walker, and it's just slow going. And then she joined our plan. She's followed the Live Disease-Free diet. So she decreased her carbs significantly. And I believe she's doing enemas, the oxidizing enemas. And she's only been 5 days on one parasite drug. And I'm not going to say the name of it because it is not an end-all be-all cure drug for everybody. It's not. A lot of our students don't have this much success this quickly, but she did. And so she is walking without her walker after just 5 days of one parasite drug. And this is so huge because our students, they're working up to 3 to 5 or more parasite drugs using the oxidizing agent with enemas and orally, and they're passing hundreds of worms, and some of them notice significant improvements right away, and some of them they have to decrease the burden of the parasite significantly before they really start. But that could still happen in literally a week or two also. So she's like walking without an aid, and then she comes back and she's like high five, and she's so incredibly thrilled. And this is the start of her journey, the start. So I am confident that with the amount of success she's had with the limited treating she's doing, that she is going to have a full recovery, and probably sooner than she ever thought possible. And then I wanted to share just one other one from a husband and wife. And the people that are like a husband or wife that would be really disabled with these parasites, having MS or other chronic diseases. And if they have a spouse that's willing to help them to recover, God bless them. They are so incredibly fortunate to have that support, to have somebody who will help them with the cooking and the cleaning and taking care of everything, and even helping them with enemas. Yes. So this couple, she is very, very sick and disabled. And just after 7 enemas, she's passed what looks like a lot of flukes. It looks more like it's flukes than tapeworms, and they're really incredibly pro-inflammatory. She's starting to have some really big changes. So of course the diet, she got her carbs really low, and then just starting to pass worms. So of course we have to incorporate more, but we've just found that these enemas they don't cause Herx reactions, that people can do them, and it helps them tremendously, especially if they have a lot of constipation. So they just shared that yesterday and today she had definite improvements in her leg strength and her balance, and she was able to stand without holding onto something for she was able to stand without holding onto something with at least one hand for 12 seconds, which was not possible for her for the last year. So she said, we are definitely more hopeful now that we will see more improvements and less reliance on her wheelchair and her walker for mobility as her strength and balance improves. This is the first time we've had any hope instead of continual progressive disability with the standard of care treatments, what they lead to. We are just getting started with the program, and we are have so much more to learn, but we are seeing that there is a lot of potential for continued recovery instead of more disability. Thank you so much for all of your hard work and developing this Live Disease-Free program. I had tears in my eyes before I started the call yesterday with all of these amazing successes. And that other lady, the first student I shared, that she's walking without her walker, not to say that she'll never use her walker right now, she's just starting. But for her to be able to have, just literally within I would say 2 weeks to be able to start walking without her walker, where she hasn't been able to do that for at least 8 months, we have to get this out to the world. We have to get this into the practitioners' hands. We have to get them to see what a difference they can make in the lives of their patients. This is something that our doctors need to be doing. So this is the next phase of Live Disease Free, is to really get this into the hands of our doctors. Last couple of questions and I'm going to let you guys go. What program MJ is asking? So this is the Live Disease Free plan. So if you have just found me for the first time, what I would recommend is just go to livediseasefree.com or even YouTube. You can find a bunch of videos. But the nice thing about our website, livediseasefree.com, is there you will actually, like, you can go to our blog post and you can look at specific topics. You can look at the worms that our students are passing, roundworms, look at flukes. I've got so many different research, like I've got a one-page cheat sheet you can share with your doctor about all kinds of research showing that MS is an infectious disease. So there is that is to build up your belief. That is to build up your oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for. And then you can listen to the successes of our students that have taken the Live Disease Free plan, followed it, have recovered. Take some Kleenex because you'll have very happy tears. And then you can watch my masterclass training at any time. You'll find it above or below this video, in the description usually of this video. When you watch the masterclass training, it's kind of a summary of some of the more common parasites that are linked to MS, plus many success stories, and then the steps we take to recover. So watch that masterclass training, and then if you feel that this is what I need, this is the direction I need to go, then you can fill out a form. And then you will be able to book a time to chat with me to make sure it's a good fit for you. But before you and I chat, make sure to also watch the Coachathon, because that goes into a lot more detail about this whole process, so that by the time you and I meet, then you will have you'll have good questions for me. I can go right to looking at what you've been through, your health journey, what you've done, what you've tried, where you're at. And then you can ask me questions about the plan, and I can just make sure to help you to figure out if it's a good fit. And if it is, to get you off to a really strong start. That's the important thing, so that you can be like these two students that are having miraculous, nothing short of miraculous improvements. And so this is where I would challenge you to think, is it your hormones or is it the parasites, right? It is, in all of the people I've worked with, it is parasites that are causing the hormonal disruption, and they are driving the chronic disease. They are the main cause of chronic disease. So that is the program. It is the Live Disease Free plan. We have been serving students for about 10 years now. So we have a lot of people in many countries. I would say over 20 countries by now, hundreds of students that we've served. And this is a skill that you'll learn, and you'll have it for the rest of your life. So you use it to recover, and then you use it to make sure you never end up in this place again with a parasitic infestation. So you said you're starting with medication for osteoporosis tomorrow. Should I not do that? No, you can start that. I never tell people to just quit medication. So this is probably, MJ, quite new to you. So what I would do is I would just look into this, make sure it's a good fit for you, reach out and chat with me. And then I'm going to help you so that your body is not going to be having this issue with osteoporosis by treating the cause. And then you're not going to need that medication or other medications that you need. And then you work with your doctor or your pharmacist to come off of those medications in the safest way. So you can start with that, but just know that the osteoporosis medication is not going to be a cure for your osteoporosis. I've lots of people, I don't want to say the names of the drugs, but they came to me, they had osteoporosis for many years. They were on these bone density drugs to help try to reverse, but they were still dealing with osteoporosis because they weren't treating the cause. And that's the difference between the Live Disease Free approach. We treat the root cause so that your body just naturally keeps your bones strong. Of course, it is good to do some exercise, especially strength training. But when we're really, really sick, it's hard to do the strength training. We lose our strength. We lose our ability to exercise. And that's why treating the root cause gets to the core of everything, gets to the fatigue, the weakness, the hormonal issues, the mobility issues, the drop foot. And then, as we are following the right diet and we're taking minimal supplements, we don't really need a lot, and treating the root cause, this osteoporosis heals. We no longer have this condition. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you appreciate the research, we will have a newsletter. Make sure that you go to livediseasefree.com if you want to have our newsletter every week. There you will find, you can opt in with your name and email address, and we will send you the newsletter. It will have my condensed notes, and it will have a condensed version of this video so that you can share this with others. You can talk about it with your practitioner. And please, if you are on any kind of hormone therapy, please look at the adverse effects, like how this drug works in the body and what the adverse effects are, because sometimes we don't realize that the adverse effects can be actually worse than what we're taking it for. So with that, please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the research I'm sharing with you. That helps these platforms to share it out to other people. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next week. Take care and bye-bye for now.